Alright guys, welcome back to another Opera Omnia video where we are going to be talking about Kain, who shall be receiving his LD weapon with the next Intersecting Wills event. Now, Kain is only going to be getting his LD ability. He's not going to be getting any type of rework. That rework and his BT Plus and his FR weapon, that shall be arriving in about 6 months from now. But we're going to be talking about his LD weapon and whether or not it is actually worth picking up now, or if you decide that you want to wait and hold off until he releases with his entire kit. So we're going to be talking about all of that in this video, and then of course I'll let you guys know my thoughts and opinions on it like I normally do. So as always, if you guys do enjoy the video, consider liking the video and subscribing for future Opera Omnia content. Let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. So let's talk about his LD ability and then of course the should you pull portion of the video. So Kain's LD ability is called Rising Drive, which he increases his Brave by 100% of his attack. Then he follows up with a 5-hit ranged Brave plus an HP attack. That attack does deal 100% splash HP damage to non-targets, and then follows up with a 3-hit ranged Brave plus an HP attack 3 times. So in total, you have 4 HP dumps whenever you use his LD ability. Now, he does allow for 150% stolen max Brave overflow. He does grant 4 stacks to the brand new overhead called Inner Dragon. And he also recovers an ability use to his skill 1 and to his skill 2, and he does get instant turn rate whenever you use his LD ability. Now, the overhead, the brand new overhead that he is getting, provides him with a few things, not a crazy amount of things, but it does provide him with some stuff. So the overhead provides him with a 20% Brave damage up, a 15% stolen max Brave overflow up, a 10% HP damage up. Now, whenever he is attacking a single target, he does increase his Brave damage up by 10%, so he will be getting a 30% instead of a 20. If you're facing AoE enemies, it'll be a 20% instead of the 30. Now, whenever his overhead reaches 4 stacks, or if he uses LD ability to immediately get to that 4 stacks, his Brave attack becomes the new ability called Double Jump, which we will get into here in just a second. Then another way to be able to increase his overhead is not only via his LD ability, but also via his skill usage. So skill 1, skill 2, EX, etc, etc. And it does have a max stacks at 4, but it only increases by 1 after his own turn. Now, whenever you give him his character boards and whatnot, or his LD boards, etc, etc, he does add more percentage to what he is originally getting. So instead of the 20% Brave damage up, if you're going up against AoE enemies, you're getting a 40% Brave damage up, and then a 50 if you're going up against a single target. You do get an increase in stolen max Brave overflow up, so now it'll be 30%. You do get an additional 10% Brave damage up, so now it'll be a 20%. And whenever you are attacking a single target, you do gain an additional 10%. So really, you're going to be getting a 60% Brave damage up whenever you are facing a single target. Now, with the Lancet, the Lancet is basically that attack that whenever he jumps up into the air, every single time that anybody on the field acts, you trigger the Lancet attack, which is a 3-hit AoE ranged Brave plus a AoE HP attack follow-up attack. And it does deal split HP damage to all targets, and it does have some stolen max Brave overflow onto it as well. Not the same amount that you're getting whenever you have his overhead and whatnot, but it's close enough. Now, whenever this follow-up attack happens, this does not consume Kain's Brave at all. So whatever the highest amount of Brave that Kain can get, that is the Brave that he's going to stick to until he lands back on the ground. Now, this follow-up attack does not initiate the chase sequence. Now, one thing to know about Kain whenever he is in the sky is that before you go into the sky, it's best to prep him up whenever you go to the sky, in terms of like, say, like call abilities and whatnot, stuff like that. Basically, like if you're trying to give Kain as much buffs as possible from, like, say, your other teammates, you want to make sure that you give that to him before he goes into the air, because once he is in the air, he cannot receive any effects from enemies or allies. He does evade all incoming attacks, even ones that are guaranteed to hit when he is in the air. He does not consume Brave when the HP attack is used, which is the Lancet attack, and he does trigger the Lancet attack whenever he is attacking the enemy and or whenever the enemy and or ally acts. So that's a couple things to know. Another thing that I do want to add to that is that if you are in the chase sequence and if Kain is right behind or like right there to be able to participate in the chase sequence, Kain will be able to participate in that as well. Now, whenever it's Kain's turn again, he does trigger a following attack right before you do any of his abilities. So I'm reading the notes off of Leo Bob, so shout out to him for these notes, because for some reason it's not here on the Cydia Compendium, unless I'm just blind and I don't see him. But so he triggers this following attack, which is an AoE HP attack followed by a 3-hit AoE range Brave plus an AoE HP attack 2 times, and this does deal split HP damage. Now, after his last attack, he does recover Brave to the party based on 20% of the total HP damage dealt to the targets, not just to one, but to all of them. And this does not initiate the chase sequence, and the overhead reverts back to 0 stacks again. So you can either use his LD ability again to get max stacks to get him up in the air again, or you can slowly build up his stacks on his overhead via his skills or whatnot. So not too bad of an LD ability, but you know, we'll talk about it a little bit more in the should you pull portion. So now we get to the point of the video where you guys decide whether or not it is actually worth pulling for Kain's LD weapon based on what you've already heard so far and some of the additional things that I am going to mention about him. So as you guys know, Kain, I feel like a lot of players are probably going to skip out on his banner. If I'm not mistaken, I think there is a free pull on this banner, but I feel like a lot of players might pass up on him because of the fact that he does have his C90, he does have his FO weapon and his BT weapon in JP, and everybody pretty much already has an idea of what he does. I mean, like, he is in my opinion, a very good FR user with how his force gauge works and whatnot. So I feel like players might just pass up on him and wait about what 6 months for his release later on, where they can probably pick up his kit. But to those who are considering it or are still wondering whether or not it's worth pulling for his LD weapon, now I'm going to talk to you guys. So with Kain though, Kain, there's a couple things that you can actually do that you can take advantage of. One of the unique and very convenient things that you can do with Kain is going to be on call abilities. With call abilities, if you were to equip a call ability that affects your party, if Kain is in the sky, those call abilities still very much work even when he is up there, because he is still supporting the party with those call abilities. So take example, Kurasame call, Kaitsif call, other calls, whatever calls it is that you like to use. Do note that those call effects still affect your party mates if they do provide some party-wide stuff. So that's one thing that you can take advantage of. And if you are able to combine Kain, or excuse me, team up Kain with characters that are turn hoggers that love to take turns, like take example Tidus that you're looking at right now, right? You can easily take advantage and be able to take or have those follow-up attacks every single time that turn hogger character is acting. So that's extra damage on top of the damage that you already dealing with your skills with your other 2 teammates or your turn hogger, whoever it is that you want to do. Another thing to note is the fact that you can easily combine Kain with let's say a launch cop, right? Let's take example Sid Reigns and Aphmau. You know, the crazy duo that everybody knows about, where they're basically going back and forth. Well, guess what? When they are going back and forth, Kain is doing that follow-up attack, so that is extra damage. And to note is, or not to note, but like to another thing to mention is that with Sid Reigns' ability, I mean, you are able to basically bring Aphmau and not Sid Reigns, but you are able to bring Kain right behind Aphmau. So you already know that Kain will be able to participate in the launch sequence, and that way that's another extra damage that you can be dealing as well. So you know, there's a few ideas that you can actually use Kain with. Now, one thing that I do want to mention, because this was actually shown to me in my Discord server, which if you're not in my Discord server, that link is down in like a pinned comment or description, whatever. It was brought to my attention that some players are actually comparing Kain to Core because of the fact that Core is able to attack before and then afterwards as a web, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. I'll correct myself later when I edit this video. No, you know, the good thing about Core is, of course, he is able to attack whenever the enemies are targeting one of the teammates that has that buff that Core equipped to them. Then he is able to do that. He is able to basically, he has like a whole bunch of follow-up attacks, right? And some players are comparing him to Kain, but the thing is though, like with Kain though, whenever you jump into the sky though, like he actually pushes himself back in the turn order, so like that way you don't have to worry about him for a little bit, or you don't have to worry about him rushing up and being the next character in the turn sequence to actually act. So you have a longer duration of him being able to stay in the sky as well. But compared to Core, or comparing him to Core, is kind of a little, it's a little off balance. Let's just say that. That's just me putting it in the nice way. So I mean, like, of course, Core does cover some things and whatnot. He does things that Kain may not do, but there is a big difference between both of them. So you know, don't get it confused between the two, because that's definitely not the case between these two characters. You know, if you are wanting yourself a character that is providing some very good follow-ups that he does not basically lose in damage, because he does not lose that brave while he is in the air, and at the same time you're able to do a little bit of shenanigans when it comes to call abilities. And you can, one thing I forgot to mention is the fact that his follow-up attacks does work during burst phase. That is extra damage that you can be dealing, especially if, let's say, you're trying to rush down a Lufeni orb or something like that, or if you're trying to kill the enemy as quickly as possible. Then you know, having Kain there would be a nice add-on in terms of damage and whatnot. So you know, there's a couple things you can do with Kain. But if you you know, if you're wanting yourself a very good follow-up attacker that is able to avoid attacks and do all this other stuff that I've already mentioned, then Kain would be a pretty good option to actually pick up if you do have the resources after pulling on the Caius or Gobez banner, for those who decided to pull on those two banners. But other than that though, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Let me know what your pull plans are for Kain's banner in the comments as well. And of course, if you guys did enjoy the video, consider liking the video and subscribing for future Opera Omnia content. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video.